You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! Oh my! It's been blocked again! It's gonna heave one deep down the field. It's gonna be to the goal line. It's gonna be caught! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyree Cleveland! Oh man! I can't believe what I just saw! Coming back to ball. Thompson fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Touchdown! Dory got a touchdown! Oh man! Dory's got a touchdown! His final game as a Gator takes it all the way home and sends Urban out 0-9.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Back at it, same corner, same time. It's time to hit the mutts. How y'all feeling?
Good, man. It was great to have a bye week. I had myself another weekend for the history books. I ended up at a reggae festival, my first ever reggae festival over in St. Pete. Beautiful weather, beautiful vibes. But I had an old co-worker in time from Nashville for Reggae Rise Up, and we had ourselves a weekend, to say the least.
Shout out to the Reggae Rise Up. Usually good vibes at reggae concerts.
Very good vibes.
How was your weekend, Nick?
Had a wedding out in the country.
Bye week. I like the bye week vibes. Wedding out in the country.
Had a wedding out in the country. I think the couple they were supposed to get married during COVID. Plans got canceled, so they eloped. So it wasn't even like a wedding. It was just like, hey, come have. It was like skipping the actual wedding and just like, hey, come drink and party. So that was a different vibe. No, not a shotgun wedding.
Okay.
Not a shotgun wedding. But it was with the girl, one of the girlfriends. It was with the girlfriend's coworker, so I didn't really know anyone there. But all you have to do is say you're a journalist that covers Florida, and you got people talking to you all night long. Not many happy people, but people talking all night long.
How was the music? How was the dancing vibes? Those are things that I care about.
It was very, very white country is how the dancing was.
Very good.
Shania Twain was played. A lot of country music played.
I haven't seen Nick out on the dance floor for Man I Feel Like a Woman.
No, not me. I leave the wedding dancing to Dan.
That's true.
But yeah, chill week for me. After 7 straight weekends. Of traveling, and it was nice to get a weekend off. Now I got 5 more weekends. A lot of traveling too. Got to go to both Columbias, which are dumps, in Jacksonville this weekend.
Another dump.
Oh my god!
So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Throw
I had to.
to Dan.
I had to. Jacksonville's a fun, it's a beautiful city.
Like, don't ever get off on Moncrief, Dan. It's gonna be.
I'm going to be
bad
there.
times for you.
I think the three of us will be there in about 3 weeks. So Jacksonville will get to smell my cologne. No, this is a public service announcement. I don't actually hate Jacksonville. It's all just like a running bit. So please don't get offended. It's just a joke. I don't dislike your fair city. There's far worse cities in Florida than Jacksonville. So you guys can finally stop blocking me and sending me DMs telling me about how much I'm disrespecting their city.
It's not a good time, man. People are on the edge of their seats right now. Then they ready to cancel somebody and lash out. So
I get it. The best restaurant you have to go to is an Applebee's. I get it. So, Nick, I'll say this: Columbia, South Carolina.
Don't get caught in the crossfire, Dan.
I'm a big fan of Columbia, South Carolina. Actually, that 5 Points area. I know it's probably a little old for me now. It's been about 12 years since the famous Dan Thompson train arrest incident of 2010, or 2009. But 5 Points is where it's at, Nick. I can see you thriving there.
Went one time. Went to 5 Points one time. Just listen, there's just not. I did the road trip a couple of years ago with the girlfriend. We went to Savannah. Beautiful time in Savannah. Beautiful city. Then we went to Columbia, and she looked around. She's like, "Are we in Ohio?" And I'm like, "Basically, this is the middle of nowhere." And then we hit up Charleston after that, another beautiful city.
What a beautiful city.
The state of South Carolina has some beauty to it. It's just not in
Sure
Columbia.
does. Yeah, Greenville's nice. There's a lot of nice
Myrtle
parts of South
Beach.
Carolina. Yeah, Myrtle Beach is nice.
Great golfing up there. Just Columbia is just a dump.
You have some suburbs of Charlotte too. Silk, how was your weekend, my friend?
Oh, it was cool, man. A lot of relaxation. I took a bye week with the players as well, man. Team took a break. I took a break. Hit the Green Market downtown with the wife. Just vibed and kicked it down there.
The green market, as in a farmer's market, or a different type of green?
Yeah, like a farmer's market.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that type of vibes. Had some brunch, live band.
Pictures looked elite.
Yeah, it was vibed out. It was vibed out. Good times down there, man. I didn't watch any football till around 4:00, man. Just totally tapped out of that world. I felt good to get a break. No stress on the Saturday. Felt good.
Well, boys,
I thought you tuned in when one of the other Florida teams was playing later that night.
Yeah, Florida State had a cupcake game, so I didn't have to tune into that one, but I tuned into the Miami game. I fell asleep on it. I'm actually cheering for Miami right now. I need Manny Diaz to keep this job, so yeah. He needs some support right now.
he's not a prime candidate to replace Todd Grantham on your hot board?
No way, man. These guys are old, washed. We need some fresh minds, man. I think that's a problem. Keep recycling these old DCs with old football philosophies.
I can see it.
Former Dan Mullen defensive coordinator.
That's right. Well, both are still
He got
employed.
snatched up by like two old coaches. Like, I don't like the way Butch Davis grabbed his arm. He can't coach for me.
Come here, son.
I don't like that.
My grandfather did that to me when I was a young kid, I'm sure. All right, boys, let's get into the show. I have a guest from Rivals.com, but Silk, as always, shout out our friend Greg Brunt.
Shout out to the greatest insurance company of all time, the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Anything you need insured from the Panhandle to the Keys, my man Greg can take care of you. Visit them at bruntinsurance.com or give them a call at 954-589-2204. Home, auto, life insurance, renter's insurance, business insurance, renter's insurance. Anything you may need insured, my man Greg got you. bruntinsurance.com. Yeah.
Yep. All right, boys. We have a game this weekend against the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. The Gators came off of a victory last season over Georgia. And if you looked at Nick's Twitter timeline the other day, this has been a seesaw battle of 3 wins in a row for, about 12 years in a row, Nick? So if you're looking at those seesaw battles, this is Florida's chance to win for the next 2. Wouldn't that be a pleasant surprise?
Yeah, since 2008, Florida and Georgia have gone every 3 years, 3-year winning streak back and forth. So Florida got the win last year, which means, hey, you've got 2 more years of Florida wins coming right up.
Currently, if you look at the stats, Georgia is outscoring their opponents on the season 38.4 to 6.6. UGA leads the country and, of course, the SEC in defense. The Gators are beating their opponents on average 34.4 to 21.1. So I don't think the concern is necessarily can Florida, or do they have the ability to potentially put up points? I think that that's certainly the case, that they can put up points, but it matters how many, considering that Georgia is only averaging less than a touchdown per game. Guys, how do you think the Gators need to score on Saturday? Because that's really the only way the Gators can beat Georgia when you think about it.
I think we'll have to live a lot on like broken down plays. I think we have to be balanced in what we do. Running pass. Georgia's a very good defense. One of the best defense we've seen in a little while here. I don't think they face a lot of great offenses either, but it's a lot of talent on that side of the ball. And I think Kirby and Muschamp doing a good job of coaching those guys up and scheming. I just think whoever's at quarterback is going to have to make some things happen with their legs for us to move sticks in some tough situations, man. But I just think we got to be balanced. I ain't going to say run or pass. I think you got to do a little bit of both.
Maybe hope Georgia forgets to cover the running backs again. I don't know where, looking at Georgia's defense, I don't know where you look and say, well, Florida has an advantage there. Georgia leads the SEC in run defense, pass defense, total defense, scoring defense. They've let up the least amount of plays of 10, 20, 30, and 40 yards in the league. So, I mean, I had like a face when Corey was like, you have to rely on broken plays. And I'm like, that's a rough game plan to go into a game with. Like, hope they make a bunch of mistakes.
I mean, that's what you do with guys that athletic like Anthony Richardson, though, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of plays like guys like him, Cam, Tebow. Those guys are going to make plays that you just can't draw up.
Yeah, Florida's backup quarterback can make plays like that. You're right.
Not my backup quarterback.
I honestly don't know, and I don't know that our guest who's coming on to break down Georgia will have those answers for us either. Georgia, I think the most impressive thing to me is that Georgia came into this year with such sky high expectations, and it was, we laughed about it and we didn't agree with it, and it's starting to look right. It was Alabama and Georgia and everyone else in the SEC. And Georgia, despite the outside noise and the expectations and the pressure, has remained laser focused in every game. It doesn't matter if they're playing Vanderbilt, beat them 62-0. It doesn't matter if you're playing a bad South Carolina team, boat race them. And you don't need any, motivation to get up for Florida, even a 4-3 Florida. This Georgia team has remained laser focused in their goal every quarter, every drive of the season. And now you're sitting here looking at this game thinking, well, hopefully they drop their focus. Like, I don't know where Florida's advantage, if there is any, comes in this game. Maybe the punter.
I don't know any year we've had an advantage in this game, to be honest with you.
Not in a long time, yeah.
Right? This game is just always a little tricky. And I think, like Dan Mullen, I think we play down to some competition sometimes. This is just going to be a game they're going to be up for, and he's going to be up for. Does it matter? I don't know. It may not. Georgia may be one of them years where Georgia's just a great team and it don't matter. But I expect our team to be up that day and ready to play like their best game, because that's been the trend. Big games, they're up, and then we get caught sleeping on teams we should be.
Wouldn't be surprised if Florida shows up for this game and loses by 1. And Dan says we just ran out of time. Just needed one more drive.
But we had more yards.
I don't think you're going to have more yards in Georgia.
I'm not about to ruin my evening.
I don't know if I agree 100%, but I do want to ask that question to our guest, Anthony Dasher from Rivals.com. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Visit them at homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale and get 15% off your order. It's fall. It's hoodie weather time. It's sweater weather time. It's almost the Christmas holidays. As you guys know, I start to celebrate in basically July. Visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium. Best, most comfortable hoodies and T-shirts that you're going to find. All vintage logos, more Gator logos coming out, a lot more apparel coming out. Absolutely incredible product. Visit homefield.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale for 15% off. And let's bring Anthony Dasher from Rivals.com. Anthony, absolute pleasure for you to join us this evening and talk a little Florida, Georgia.
Hey, guys, my pleasure.
Well, Anthony, if you look at the all-time series, Georgia's beating Florida 52-44-2 per Florida, 53-44-2 per Georgia. Want to talk a little bit?
That's my favorite part of the rivalry, that the schools can't even agree how many times they've played.
They always mention that in the pregame notes too. That's always kind of humorous to me.
And what is the first game? So, but the first game in the rivalry was acknowledged in 1915. Where's the missing game? Who?
I want to say wasn't around World War II. Wasn't around. I'm not 100% sure, to be quite honest with you. I think the discrepancy was over if one of the I can't remember honestly. One of the two teams was not did not field a true college team at the time.
I found it. Yeah, it's in 1904.
Okay.
University of Georgia already claiming things before Florida was a school. It was known as Florida Agriculture College at the time. So I guess the Florida's UAA does not count that. Anyway, enough of my babbling about history from 120 years ago. Anthony, talk to us a little bit about Georgia. Is this one of the more most dominant teams that you've covered, or give us kind of your midseason review on Georgia of what we already don't know.
Well, I'll say from a defensive perspective, I've been covering Georgia for over 20 years, and just from that standpoint, I'll say this may be the best Georgia defense that I've seen, during that time, just based on, what they have with this front seven going on with that right now with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Devontae White. And these are three of the good tackles they've had in a long, long time. And I'm going back to Marcus Stroud and Richard Seymour, some guys who I know you fellas are familiar, with as well. And just the whole team, the whole defense is playing just very good football. It's a lot of experience, a lot of speed. Kobe Dean, looking at the secondary, they got Darian Kendrick came over from Clemson. Lewis Seams, an all SEC player. She's got a lot of talent this year, a lot of depth. It's just one of those years where everything just kind of all come together in a positive way at one time.
I just mentioned it right before we brought you on. To me, one of the most impressive things is Georgia obviously came in with a ton of expectations, and people thought that they could be, it was Alabama, Georgia, and everyone else. To me, the most impressive thing is just the laser focus that Georgia has had. It's so easy to, Vanderbilt's coming, not a big game. Don't worry about it. You go out and boat race Vanderbilt. It just seems that they haven't let their attention to detail or their focus have any lapse at all in the season. You've obviously watched closer. Has that been the case?
Oh, no question about it. And actually, it's kind of unusual for a Georgia team, if to be quite honest about it. I mean, Georgia's had some very good teams before, but there's always been like one game, where they inexplicably, don't show up, don't play well, and wind up losing the game they should have won. I mean, you can go back during Kirby Smart's tenure here. That's been the case in a number of those seasons. But this year, just like you said, it's a very focused team. It's a very mature team. Got some great leaders on this year's squad, and I think they're really focused on the prize this year. Can they get it? We'll see. But right now, this is a very experienced team, a very confident team, and one that has some big goals ahead. We'll just have to see if they're able to accomplish them.
I think some of our fans might hear that and go, "Well, you're still waiting on that one game." It would be nice to have that one game Saturday.
Yeah. But I'm not. I certainly don't think Georgia's going to overlook Florida. That's not going to happen. We were talking to Jordan Davis today, and Jordan, it's kind of cliche, but it's really, I think, it summarizes the feelings for the Bulldogs. Both teams could be 0-7 going into this contest, and I think it'll still be just as important because this is such a huge rivalry. I think if you were to poll your average Georgia fan asking what the biggest rivalry for the program is, Florida's going to pop up number one. I think 9 out of 10 times. That's over Georgia Tech, over Auburn, over whoever. Just a special game, a special rivalry, and the players recognize that. Of course, it helps that Kirby Smart's a former Georgia player, kind of helps prod that along maybe a little bit. But all these players know how big this game is, especially since Florida won this game last year.
Anthony, real quick, before you came on, I was talking to these guys about the X factor in the game. What I think Florida needs to do to win. I think Anthony Richardson needs to go crazy. I think he's talented enough and could cause the Georgia's defense some problems on some broken down plays. What is your scouting report? What do you fear from the Gators' offense, if anything?
Well, it starts with those two quarterbacks. In fact, they can make things happen with the legs, just like you're saying. Georgia hasn't really, faced that kind of QB yet this year. I mean, they thought they were, the first game of the year with Clemson, but that didn't work out, quite like the Tigers had hoped. And I guess the closest thing Georgia has seen, to that kind of quarterback, that kind of, talent from a running perspective is Bo Nix at Auburn, and Georgia's able to shut him down pretty good. But Florida's going to come at him with a two-prong attack, and those guys, nobody has slowed them down yet, to be honest with you, for what I've seen, anyway. I do wonder, and people ask me all the time, well, how can a team successfully attack this Georgia defense? One thing we have not seen to date, if what will happen if a team is able to pass pro, and you start seeing a quarterback start hitting some quick slants, some quick passes to try to get the secondary on its heels, get these linebackers on the heels. That might be a way for teams to look moving forward. But no doubt that Georgia, I think is facing an offense this year that, again, could be the best offense they've seen to date. And that's my opinion. That's probably going to be the case.
Anthony, has Kirby Smart, I almost called him Mark Rick. Jesus, Kirby Smart talked about the difference between potentially preparing for Emory Jones versus Anthony Richardson. There's a lot of optical optics around it right now. But has there been any discussion publicly about it?
Not really. I think they're going to look at both of these guys in a similar vein. I mean, they know that both guys have good arms. They can run the ball. That they're going to attack similar ways. And maybe some little nuances each quarterback does differently. But I don't think you're going to see Georgia really change things up dramatically defensively, depending on who's in the ball game. They're going to play them both pretty much, I think, the same way.
This should be. Go ahead.
Because I don't think teams have been quarterback spying on Emory as of late. I think I think Emory can run, but I think he's a little less reluctant to run than Anthony would be. I think they got a different. I think they're going to play those two players a little differently. They both have similar capabilities, but I think their playing styles are different.
Yeah, and you'll be interested to see if Georgia uses a spy. It's something that we kind of talked about before the Auburn game, that perhaps they would do that with somebody like Quay Walker, or perhaps even the Kobe Dean, but they never did. But we'll see. I mean, that's something they certainly could do if they wanted. But when they had this opportunity to use a spy in a game against a quarterback with similar talent, they declined to do so.
Do you know who would mimic these guys in practice?
My guess is they'll probably use somebody like Brock Vandegrift, who's a 5-star they signed last year, but he can also run. He can move pretty good, as well. Not to the extent that or fast as either one of those two guys, but they have some players they could use to, I guess, emulate them to a certain extent. But it's still not going to be anything like seeing the real thing in person.
Right.
And who's starting at quarterback for Georgia on Saturday, or is that still unknown?
Well, we're going to find out about that. Stetson Bennett has started the past 3 games for Georgia. There's won 3 games. Has completed what I believe is 39 of 36, 54 passes for 500 yards and 5 scores. But JT Daniels is healthy now. JT has not played since the first quarter of the Vanderbilt game. Had a grade 1 lat strain that's kept him out for the past month. Last week he was finally able to start throwing without pain. And he got some snaps today, I know, with the first team, splitting those snaps up with Stetson. So I do think you're going to see JT play in this contest. Georgia wants to get him back at quarterback. That's been the number one debate with Bulldog fans right now, is which quarterback can make the offense as good as it possibly can be. And a lot of them think that's JT Daniels just because of his arm strength. He's a guy who can really stretch the field from that capacity. Where on the other hand, Stetson Bennett's a guy who can hurt you with his legs. But I think you are going to see JT at some point in this ballgame. Will he start? I honestly don't know at this point in time, but I definitely look for him to play. Yep.
This has been a wild few years of Georgia quarterbacking. We had a 4th stringer last season. A couple years before that, it was somebody that I think came off the bench too. Or what Georgia played, 3 quarterbacks last year?
Yeah, Georgia fans will tell you is that Fatone Batal. I remember 3 or 4 years ago, a guy who had never, I think, maybe taken 2 or 3 snaps in his whole career, and Mark Richt decided to start him against Florida in that contest, and that didn't go quite so well.
Yeah, and then I think he probably had 2 or 3 snaps in the rest of his career after that. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
He played locally down here at William T. Dwight, where I'm from.
Yeah, he was a good quarterback in high school, but just never got it good in college.
Anthony, what quarterback do you think, if you were calling the shots for Georgia, would you go with in this game? Is it Stetson Bennett, who's been on a bit of a roll and gives you that X factor of being a bit more mobile, or is it JT Daniels, kind of the more proven guy, maybe the bigger arm strength guy?
Georgia fans will hate me for saying this, but I think Stetson Bennett might be the way to go, at least early on. I mean, again, Stetson has played some great football. He's not the same quarterback as we saw last year in Jacksonville. I can say that, complete confidence. Again, he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's 5'11", maybe 195, but he's very good with the RPOs. And again, as I mentioned before, he can hurt you with a run. If you're not paying attention, he'll pick up 25, 30 yards on you, as he's done twice this year. And the players really, really respect Stetson. I mean, they play hard for him. But again, I mean, I do think we're going to see JT Daniels at some point, because they want to get him cranked up and ready to go, because they, for all said and done, they're going to need him if they want to, have the kind of year they're hoping for right now.
It's interesting because undefeated, number one in the country, but you're not playing the guy that you expected to be the starter. And now that the guy who was expected to be the starter is back and healthy, well, what do you do? Is he Wally pipped, or do you put the guy who was going to be the starter back in?
No, I don't think he's Wally Pipp. And like I said, I think that you're going to start to see this week for Georgia, JT being integrated back into the offense and being that guy. But again, he has not played. It's been a month. I mean, is there a guarantee he can come in and just pick up where he left off and be, completing 7% of the passes? Or if going against this Florida defense, he's going, I'm sure Coach Grant is going to try to put all kinds of pressure on him. Is he going to get rattled? Where if you have got, again, looking at a quarterback with Stetson, who's played with a lot of confidence. I don't have the exact stats off the top of my head, but when he's blitzed, he's completed like almost 7% of his throws when being blitzed. He plays with extreme confidence from that standpoint. So that's a question that Kirby Smart has to answer between now and Saturday.
Brenton Cox, I think, been playing a little lackluster motor wise, but I think Georgia's a game he's waiting on.
No doubt.
What are you expecting? What you hearing from your side about that?
Well, I hadn't asked him specifically about Brenton yet, but knowing Brenton a little bit like I do, I know he's going to be plenty fired up for this contest and really want to show his old teammates what he's got, and he's the real deal. So I expect Brenton to be ready to go in this contest.
Anthony, I don't know if you're doing score predictions, things of that nature. If that's your bag, especially early in the week. Right now, Vegas looks anywhere between 12.5 to about 14.5 point favorites for Georgia in this game. What do you think? What are some of the things that you're looking for, and what does Georgia have to do well for them to beat the spread, or what does Florida need to do to stay within that spread or potentially beat Georgia this week?
Well, Georgia starts with slowing down those quarterbacks, slowing down that Florida running game. And if that happens, then I think the game potentially, could surpass what the Vegas guys are saying. I've not been very good at predicting games from the spread standpoint this year. Although Georgia, until last week against Kentucky, has covered every single game they played this year, and Kentucky only covered when they scored like a touchdown with like 2 seconds left in the game. But I think Georgia is going to. I know the defense is excited about this when Jordan Davis made that quite clear today. They're really looking forward to playing this Florida team. And Jordan, in particular, who did not play in this contest last year, is really excited about the opportunity he's going to get against the Gators. And we'll see. I mean, I think Georgia's offense is playing pretty well right now. They're getting a number of injured wide receivers are going to be back for this game, so they'll be closer to full strength as they've been all year long. Still not going to see George Pickens. I know Georgia fans have been, praying that he's going to be back by this contest, but that's not going to happen. But you're still going to see them, get guys like Jermaine Burton, Marcus Roseby, Jack Saint, who broke his ankle in the game here in Jacksonville last year, along with Arian Smith, who's a track guy or had runs like a 4.35, was a great track star, down in the Tampa area. So they get healthy from that standpoint, and otherwise they just need this defense to keep doing what it's been doing. I mean, they've really dominated the line of scrimmage in all the games they played so far. I know Florida's offensive line is going to be a challenge for them, but I think it's one they're ready to try to meet.
Here's something we were talking about, and one of the Florida players brought up. He's a Penn State transfer, so he's never played in the game. Mm-hmm. How did Georgia fans feel about taking the game out of Jacksonville? I know I've had a bunch of Georgia fans tell me that it's basically a home game for Florida because it's so much closer. But I would love to see like some kind of rotation of Jacksonville, Athens, Gainesville, Jacksonville, and kind of like a 4-year window rotation there.
That's just weird, Nick. That's a lot going on.
That I got to admit, that's a little bit weird to me because I'm more of a traditionalist, I guess, from the standpoint of that's all I've known is Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville. But again, I get where you're coming from, Nick, because that's the thought process that a lot of Georgia fans have right now. They want the game, I think, move. They want the opportunity to go to Gainesville. No, and they make. For those who have never been to games where Georgia fans, that is, they might be, biting off a little more than they can chew with that. Because I've been to some Gator games down there a long, long time ago. I know how crazy, it can get. But
pleasant down here. Great vibes, Anthony.
I'm like you. I've heard maybe rotate, Athens and Gainesville, maybe Jacksonville or Jacksonville, Atlanta, the Benz. I don't know. That's something I know is still a few years away. They still got some years to go in this current contract. But But I don't know if they were
I
ever to
wouldn't
move it.
mind
That would
home anyway.
just seem weird to me if they were ever to move it. But times do change.
Well,
I
I
wouldn't
think
mind home in a way though. That would be nice.
they're under a contract till 2025, and I think there's 4.5 million
Yeah.
reasons as to why each AD would not want to make it a home and home. Selfishly, I've been to 12 of 14 SEC stadiums, and the way that both teams do their bye week on the same week, I'm never getting to Athens until I get a new job, and I wouldn't mind seeing a game there.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, a lot of Georgia fans feel that same way. I mean, I've been to every stadium in the conference now, except for A&M, and Georgia, just because Georgia has not played over in College Station yet. But I know the recruiting is brought up a lot, and fans will say, "Well,
not being able to have recruits at
NCAA will not allow to talk to recruits at neutral site games. So you can, obviously, that you can go to a game and sit in the stand, but that's it." And fans will argue, "Well, man, this hurts Georgia's recruiting." Blah blah blah. I'm like, how in the world do you say that? I mean, how can you claim that Georgia recruiting has been hurt?
Yeah, I'm sure this is the reason why Georgia's not recruiting well.
Exactly. So that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I've seen a huge
that excuse.
Yeah,
that's wild. I hear about recruiting and I listen to it because Florida is not recruiting the way that Florida should.
Sure.
But if I was covering Georgia and a Georgia fan was like, "This is why we're not recruiting well," I'd be like, "Listen, you need to hit the road." There's a bunch of a bunch of fan bases that complain about recruiting, and Alabama and Georgia are not one of the two that can.
No, not in this situation with the game in Jacksonville, and I'm not, again, like you said earlier too. People mention to say it's a Florida home game. No, I mean Georgia does not bust to Jacksonville #1 anymore. They fly. The stadium is half and half. So I just, a lot of the things you hear about from fans on this side about why the game should be moved. I'm an old school traditionalist guy. I just don't buy a lot of it. I'd like to see it stay like it is.
Well, Anthony, we appreciate you joining us today. Nick, Silk, any other questions?
Oh no, we're gonna just talk trash about them behind his back now.
I think
you would be the first.
Yeah, the only thing that I struggle with is I think of this rivalry, and we call it Florida Georgia, you guys call it Georgia Florida. I think my biggest thing is just wondering why you guys have to call it Georgia Florida when alphabetically Florida naturally comes first. Or I mean, Army, Navy, right? All the big rivalries are just alphabetical order. So
just depends on what chair you're sitting in.
I love it. Well, Anthony, why don't you let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and where they can read your wonderful coverage of Georgia? Sure.
Obviously, you start by following us on UGAsports.com, and part of the Rivals Network. But on Twitter, it's Anthony-1, and sometimes I tend to get a little snarky with tweets. Tweets at me sometimes, but hey, that's part of the game.
That's right. Well, maybe we can get snarky together. I got into beef with Duke's Mayo Bowl earlier this year, not knowing that the Gators might be playing in that lovely bowl game. So here we find ourselves. So.
Little did we know Florida would lose enough games that we would have a title sponsor for the podcast for bowl season. Thanks, Dan.
My wife is still mad at me because I left my jar of mayonnaise at Charlotte for the Clemson game because the Duke's Mayo was handing out media gifts of jars of mayonnaise, but I left mine up in the press.
Oh man, you should have left it where it belongs in the trash can.
I'll make sure to bring my media gift home for you, Dan.
There you go.
Not interested, but thanks, Nick. Anthony, thank you so much, my friend.
All right, guys, take care.
Have a good one. All right, boys. The Florida Georgia game or the Georgia Florida
Can't be traveling back home with Mayo, fan.
That's the wild thing, Nick. If I really need it, I'll just go to the old Publix,
Yeah, for sure.
TSA will allow that. You're right.
Yeah. TSA might call the feds on you. Like, oh yeah, this guy is definitely a terrorist.
No, they'd probably call me. They'd probably call a therapist. They're like, "Are you okay, sir? You really? You put a jar of Dukes in your carry-on? Like, what were you trying to do?"
That's nuts to think that Nick thinks I can't just run up to the store and spend $4 on a jar of mayo.
Yeah, it's insane.
Business is booming over here, Nick.
Well,
all right, boys.
Stadium and Gale. We need to get Stadium and Gale credentials for that, and you can get your own jar of mayo.
Nice.
We can, yeah. I'm already working on it, trying to get sideline passes, trying to be the face of the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Don't know what that looks like.
If they do it like the Outback Bowl does it
for a Mayo commercial.
I sure do.
Yeah. You know how the Outback Bowl
Whitey growing up. What?
You know how the Outback Bowl has like the actual bloomin' onion and coconut shrimp mascots on the field?
Yeah.
If the Duke's Mayo Bowl has a Mayo costume, a mascot that runs around the sideline and Florida's in the game, you have to be that mascot.
I would love to be that mascot. I can dance, I can vibe, I can do it all. I also have no shame.
You got mascot dance moves. That's a fact.
Yeah. The Silk knows I have no shame. Nick, you do too.
What do we need? We need Florida to go like 6-6.
No, I think it's a little bit better than that. I think it's like a 7-5, 8-4 bowl. Yeah.
All right, that's fine. You just need a loss in Columbia, Missouri. That's got 7-5 written all over it.
We lose we riding if we lose in any of the games left. We got to win the rest of the games, but Georgia. Like the only thing that's excusable at this point.
Yeah. I'm not rooting against Florida. I'm rooting for Dan
this coaching staff
Mayo costume in Charlotte.
This coaching staff won't make it to Charlotte if they lose any of those last 4 games after Georgia.
I will have a groundswell of support for Florida losing one of the games remaining that's not Georgia, just to get Dan on the sideline in a Mayo costume.
I don't know about a groundswell. I think you might get a couple of ripples in a puddle, maybe, but not a groundswell.
I'll get a spoonful of mayo. That's what I'll get.
Ooh. Speaking of which, Halloween is on Sunday, right? Yeah,
nice.
Sunday. And we won't be recording, obviously, until after Halloween. So are you guys doing the dress-up thing for Halloween this year?
I'm going to a masquerade party, so yeah, I'm dressing up like masquerade vibes.
That's fancy. That's fancy black tie vibes there.
Yeah. Big man. Some it's an African masquerade party I got invited to. Somebody's renting the Kush house to do it. And I got an invite, so I'm gonna go vibe and check it out. I have no idea
big
what's
adult
about
vibes. Who's in charge of the kids?
We leave. Well, I want to bring the kids with me. They didn't want to go. They don't want to hang out in Orlando. We wanted to bring them up with us, but they want to do kid shit. So they'll probably stay with my mom. Right. Me and the wife go up there and hang out.
I wasn't home last year, so we had to do the whole like bucket outside of the house thing. And then I get home from the Missouri game.
Last year?
Last year.
It's a COVID year, bro. Y'all still did
buckets last year? So that's what I was getting to. I don't know if one kid took all of the candy I left out, but when I got home after the game, all the candy that was left out was gone.
Probably a really sophisticated raccoon.
Whoever
that raccoon has diabetes now.
Somebody enjoyed the candy. I don't know who it was. Somebody enjoyed it, and it wasn't me. This year, I'll be at the house, man in the door, giving candy to trick-or-treaters.
Are you going to dress up, though, Nick? What's the question?
That was the question.
No.
He gave a whole story, doesn't even answer the question, so. Who do we bring on to the show? Jesus.
How do you not at least wear a mask, bro? Get a mask, man. You got candy out there, bro. Get the spirit.
Yeah, come on.
Well, you're accusing me of being a Georgia fan. Maybe I'll have like a Kirby Smart outfit to wear.
Where would you find that at?
Just look like a doofus the whole time?
Yeah, that's it.
Nick gets a bowl cut. Just stares off longingly.
Now, I am here for Dan Mullen doubling down and wearing a costume to his post-game press conference.
No, you can't do that shit.
You can't. No,
I'm here for it.
No, you can't read the room.
Here for it. Princess
I'm here
Leia
for it
Mullen.
too. Like, I mean, at this point, yeah, go ahead and hump a shark.
That's not it. No left shark costumes.
So this is the first time I'm doing one of these costumes, but you know those like inflatable costumes that like is like something else, and then you have like the legs and your body's like doing something different. I've got a little man on a rocket ship taking off, so it's gonna be a wild It's gonna be a wild little costume. I'm pumped for it.
What the hell made you get that? Like, elaborate, sir.
Me and the significant other were talking about what we're going to dress up as. There was a talk about Batman and Catwoman. There was talks about all sorts of things.
Oh, that sounds like legitimate.
Well, last week, actually, during this show, she sent me an Amazon link, and I'm going to pull it up for you guys for the internet. This is amongst the most wildly unique costumes that I've ever seen in my life. And we're going to Ybor City, where a lot of tomfoolery down there. Yeah, a lot of tomfoolery goes on down there. I'm going to turn on. Here you go.
What does tomfoolery mean?
Craziness.
I want to know how that derived. That looks crazy. Let me
That
see.
looks crazy. That's nuts, right? I know this is an audio visual or an audio media, but check out YouTube if you want to see my costume. But don't worry, I'll put pictures on the timeline and all. That'll be my Duke's Mayo.
That looks
Looks
like
nuts.
why are you wearing that? What is that? Why are you a rocket?
Rocket Man. Oh man, that's gonna be wild.
Have a blast, bro.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, boys. Well, let's get a quick shout out to our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks. Silk, I know you love your cups. I see one in the background. Nick, I know you do. I know that I do.
I got the shirt on, baby.
Hey, that's a real comfortable shirt too, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Real nice, man. Around this time.
So shout out Game Time Sidekicks. Use promo code STADIUM for 10% off of your order. Vacuum sealed, just beautiful stainless steel cups, beautiful designs, a bunch of college football teams. You can get some Stadium and Gale stuff on there as well.
Vacuum seal is key, Dan.
Yeah, vacuum seal is key. Yeah, I've taken them out a number of places, and people have commented on
I want that.
the white one.
That one's nice.
Yeah, the white one that's etched looks real clean. I've had people ask, what Stadium and Gale is, but they've also said it's a super nice laser engraved and all that. Beautiful product. Go to GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium. Get yourself a discount and get yourself some a cup for the coffee, the cider, the mulled wine, whatever you might need for the cooler weather that's coming up. But again, GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium. All right, guys. I want to ask you a question about game planning. If you're an opposing coach, how do you game plan differently for Emory Jones or Anthony Richardson if you're trying to prepare your defense? And what are some tendencies that you would point out to prepare your team? Or do you think that there's not really a difference, and that's why?
No, I think just keep it generic. If I'm the DC, I just keep it generic. I wouldn't make it any different. I think the players will watch film and kind of know the tendencies and what guy will drop his head and run you over, what guy wants to run between the tackles, what guy really wants to run the ball. So they'll have the nuances of that. But I think you just coach your defense the same regardless of the two.
And I think, we can do cap or no cap. Dan Mullen was asked today, he says, hey, it seems that you guys take more shots downfield with Anthony than Emory. And Dan said that's just because what the defense is doing. And then he says they kind of load the box more with Anthony. I think that goes to what you just said when you're talking about a more physical and even at times looks like a more willing runner than Emory.
For sure.
So that could be cap or no cap with Dan saying that. But I think there's really not that much that separates them. They're very similar. Jeff Scott, who's USF's head coach, was asked about that, and he said the same, said they're very similar. You don't really have to change much. It's not like, when Emory Jones would come in when Kyle Trask was a starter. That's two completely different skill sets, two completely different quarterbacks. So I think Emory and Anthony are very similar. Maybe Anthony right now runs more physical. I think that's just kind of his game plan, the way he's built physically. And then obviously Florida's Dan Mullen's stance is that, the offense can only respond to what the defense is doing.
On the deep passes thing, I also think the pass to Jacob Copeland, that touchdown was the last read. He went through all his reads to hit that. Mm-hmm. So I just think he's processing it faster. You know what I'm saying? So I think all that plays a factor into getting to some of them deep routes as well. If you go and get to the last one and that's a go route, if you get to it and you got to tuck and run, it's about timing. I just think he's processing it faster as well.
Yeah, no, I would agree with Silk there that I think that he's processing it better. And I also think that he's had more opportunities because of the way that he throws the ball. I think that he, not always, right? He still makes a lot of freshman mistakes, but I feel like he has, as a percentage wise, thrown his receivers open more. And I think that he's been able to make that catch catchable rather than, trying to get that throw in exactly the spot where the receiver is at that exact moment, right? I think the difference that I've noticed between Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson is that Anthony Richardson seems to be a little bit more open to throwing the ball to a receiver that's trying to get open compared to Emory Jones, which already seems to wait for that receiver to be open, which is why I see when you look at their interceptions, Anthony Richardson, interceptions have been when he's been on a miscue on that, and Emory Jones's interceptions or incomplete passes have been because the ball is late getting to where it needs to be, right? So I think that's the difference that you see.
I agree.
I think you're going to see also there's a lot, like I can get more into it, but there's going to be a bunch of Anthony Richardson mistakes. Like the last interception on the last offensive drive against LSU, that's a pass you don't make. You can't take a sack there in that situation, but you take a sack before you throw, an interception that leads to, the game being over. But the time to make those mistakes is now. You're 4-3. You're probably going to be 4-4. The time to make those mistakes for Anthony Richardson, the time for him to learn, to get that experience, to get that exposure is now. Make those mistakes right now, not in 2022 when you have all of the goals of winning the SEC, winning the East, competing for a national championship. Let him go through those trials and tribulations now in 2021 rather than next year. Because if you're in a situation in 2022 where he's not your starting quarterback, you've messed up. Anthony Richardson is going to be your starter in 2022. Throw him in there now and let him go through those growing pains now.
So, like, what are we expecting? Who are we expecting to
what I'm
break the huddle?
What I'm expecting, what I just said, are two completely different things.
No, okay. So, what do you think happened Saturday?
I'm expecting the exact same thing we've seen all year. You'll see Anthony Richardson on the third drive. He'll play a little bit if he gets hot like he did versus LSU. That's what I'm expecting.
No, I'm going back to the green market.
I'm expecting fully. I believe. Listen, and I'll tell it like I see it. And when I think Dan Mullen's lying in the press conference, I'll say I think he's lying. When Dan Mullen says we're gonna play, we plan to play the same way that we've played all year, I believe it.
Here's the difference, though. Here's the difference. Like, that wasn't a quarterback rotation that ended the last game. That was a benching.
Or is just
that's a benching, bro. Like, that has never happened in all these games we played where there was a time where we're losing. We need to depend on this guy. And, like, the only reason Emory came back in because there was a mishap with Anthony. I think he had an injury or something. He had to come out.
But if you listen to Dan Mullen, the best play of the game was that 3rd and 13 from Emory.
Yeah, we know he's full of shit. But in my opinion, there's no way you end that game the way you ended the last game. There's no way you could break the huddle with anybody but Anthony Richardson to start this game. Just to get you can't. I think that's an opportunity here to get these guys amped up and riled up. You know what I'm saying? Spark, right? This team is desperate for some real leadership. Like, we could talk about all that leadership and these guys could tweet this and say their pressures, but there's a void there. Anthony Richardson gave us a spark last game. The sidelines got some energy we haven't seen. We've been complaining about the energy since Kentucky game. We've just been looking flat. There's a different spark in this team ending that last game, even though we lost.
You're right.
The offense was hot. We were moving the ball. There was different energy on that team. You can't, in a game like this, you're the underdogs, the number one team in the country. You can't break the huddle with the political move like that. I think you just got to do the right thing. The right thing is to start in 15.
Yeah.
But your question to me was, what do you expect to see? I think
I expect to see 15. No, I expect to see 15. You can't blow this
we're
opportunity.
both on the same page. We're both on the same page in terms of what we think is best and what we think we would do. We're on different pages because I think Dan is going to be Dan, and he's going to put Emory Jones in. He's going to start.
No way.
You're going to be back at the farmer's market.
I'm definitely. No, I'm not going to go. I got to see. I got to watch my guys play, but that's crazy. I don't see it happening. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, no, I think oh gosh, I don't know if I've well thought out a take enough. This is what Nick, I do agree.
How did you not think of this take? Like,
no,
I think that I've obviously
ask the question.
No, I've obviously thought about it, right? So Nick, you have history on your side, right? Like, if you are a historical looking person, there's nothing that tells me Dan Mullen is willing to make this necessary quarterback change until his hand is absolutely forced. That's happened at nearly every single quarterback controversy he's ever had, going all the way back to Mississippi State, right? Even potentially picking John Brantley over Cam Newton. Anyway, so but I do agree with Silk, and I think I'm going to err on Silk's side that there's so much wind and there's so much momentum behind Anthony Richardson that you almost have to, because you don't have anything really to lose.
It's a national thing now.
Richardson, right?
It's a national thing. Like,
there's
guys are talking about this. Like,
right. This is the biggest topic in quarterbacks in college football right now.
For sure.
Is Anthony Richardson, and why isn't he playing more? Especially now that he's starting to sign these big NIL deals and everything else. Is Anthony Richardson is starting to become, I wouldn't say he's a household name yet, but he's definitely a known name amongst people that watch college football. So I think that that's what's going to force his hand being turned on this one compared to history, because I think that there's a much louder voice of people saying, hey, it's his time, and Florida's 4-3. You don't really have anything to lose. It's not to say that Emory won't play, because I still think that he'll play in the game, but I do think you need to give Anthony Richardson the start.
I also think Spencer Rattler being benched, and a lot of these other guys being benched. Clemson's quarterback, Yuma whoever, however you say his last name. These guys are getting benched, so I think that's the thing as well. It's happening around the country. And then people see a phenom in the wings a little bit. So I just think it's a lot of pressure, and I think the kid deserves to start, most importantly.
Here's something. Now you get later in the year, you probably worry about it a little bit less than before. Transfer portal is a real thing. I talked to my guy Nelly about it. Andy Staples mentioned it. Florida doesn't have quarterback depth. So if you made the move to Anthony Richardson ahead of the Alabama game, like we talked about, Emory Jones hits the transfer portal, I'll ask both of you guys, who's Ant's backup if Emory Jones?
I don't even think he does hit the portal. I think Dan pulls the same thing he did with my man, the defensive man just left Chatfield. Hey, it don't make sense for you to leave. Like Spencer Rattler haven't hit the portal. We know he's gonna leave at the end of the season, but I think it's the smart decision for these guys still, regardless if they're not starting. Is to just get the reps, the practice, still get themselves recruited on their quarterback. So I think regardless at this point, like Emory's not gonna hit the portal right now.
No, that's what I'm saying. It gets less and less the later you are.
But the expectation is like Florida's going to have to be on the market for a transfer quarterback next year, right? Whether it's a backup or a third stringer. Carlos Del Rio, Jalen Kitna.
I think you got what you got, man. What quarterback finna come sit behind this guy? With Nick Evers coming in as well, like that's.
Don't.
I don't even.
I'm not trying to think about next year already, but I'm worried about next year if something happens. No matter.
I'm not, man. I think Nick Evers is good enough for one of those kids that can come in and play early as a quarterback if something happens.
Florida's had two SEC road games. They took Kitna to Kentucky. They took Del Rio to Baton Rouge. That to me tells me we're just keeping people happy. Hey, you want to go on a road trip? Cool. You could take them both. Yeah. What it does tell me is that you're not confident in either one of them. If you had a legitimate third quarterback, you would be taking that person to all the away games.
Well, there was a reason why Florida was going after Carson Beck, right? I mean, it didn't work out in Florida. I mean, seemingly got a substantially better player in Anthony Richardson than Carson Beck. But that was the biggest reason that Florida was looking at two quarterbacks that year, is because there was always going to be this question mark. After Felipe Franks and Kyle Trask, you have Anthony Richardson, but then you have a gap after that because they skipped that year when I'm forgetting the kid, that Jalen Jones, when he transferred, right? So Florida's get down, right, where you have a talent issue and you have a depth issue.
Just say Jalen Jones was still here. Like, just say that body was there. He still wouldn't even matter, right?
No, he was not good. No. He's not good. Where he's at now. But I mean, but I have to wonder, right? Even if you don't come to UF to start, is there somebody that, I mean, this is where we're talking hypotheticals here, but I think that Emory Jones or Anthony Richardson, one of them is not going to be on the roster next year, right? And while I think that Nick Evers is good, Carlos Del Rio, Jalen Kitna, and a true freshman, like, that's not what you want your quarterback room to look like. No slight to those guys.
That's what they recruited though. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
that's what they
question marks.
recruited.
I mean, you could look at the offensive line too. I mean, you look at the linebackers. You look at the
Yeah, but
safety. I
he's
mean,
a
these are all
quarterback.
places.
He's a quarterback whisperer. It's a little bit different. That's his room. Them his guys. You
Well, the
get
guy
one
that he
cycle.
wanted since a sophomore year of high school is not a guy that he's been whispering.
Yeah, for
sweet
sure.
nothings to.
But I don't think you go. I don't think you gonna get a JUCO quarterback or none of that because I don't think you're gonna find any thing better than Del Rio or Kittner that's gonna come sit behind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I get Dan.
A kid that realizes that both of them have been knocked out of every game this season.
I get Dan wanting to have 4, solid, and you would have 4 even if I don't envision Emory and Anthony being on the roster next year. And I get Dan saying you probably want another guy for depth, but what kind of quality are you getting when what quarterback is hitting the transfer portal to come and be Anthony Richardson's backup at Florida?
Not a good quarterback, probably. He's probably terrible.
Terrible.
He's probably worse than Del Rio and Nick Emory. The room is the room. I don't think they could add like a JUCO. I don't think it's worth doing it.
Well, we have the entire offseason to talk about what I envision to be a lot of question marks at depth. Let's talk about this Georgia game. So I think the biggest thing that, in my opinion, Florida needs to do, no matter who's playing quarterback, is protect the quarterback. Anthony Richardson, all 3 of his interceptions have been when he's under pressure. And Emory Jones has thrown 9 interceptions, and that's balanced between being kept clean or throwing under pressure. And I think that, again, goes back to the way that they both throw. But I think if Anthony Richardson's your quarterback and the guy that you're going to run with, he's substantially better. He's 17 for 25 when the pocket's clean. He's only 3 of 11 when he's under pressure. So definitely something Florida needs to do if Anthony Richardson's going to play substantial amounts in this game.
I just don't understand what's the upside of not playing Anthony Richardson as your starting quarterback and not even 60-40 with Anthony getting 60% of the snaps. I don't understand what the upside is.
He's the best player on our offense, man. You cannot take him off the field. He's the most explosive player. And he touches the ball every play. That's just an advantage for you. I would think Georgia's best player is going to be touching the ball every play on offense. You know what I'm saying? That's just a rare thing you can have in sports. I think even we got to speak to the imagination of Dan Mullen as a play caller. It looked totally different with Anthony in the game. I think his play caller has been stale with Emory all fall, and even sometimes with Anthony, but it seems to be on purpose sometimes. But what we saw second half LSU going up and down that field was a lot of creativity and a lot of smoke and mirrors and scheming that we haven't seen this year. We've been seeing a lot of cookie cutter vanilla stuff. I think this kid could get deeper in the playbook than Emory.
Oh yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, there's nothing that's telling me that he can't be just as good at the things that Emory is good at. Running some of these RPO things, whenever they call those. But I do think that Anthony Richardson throws a different ball. I think that he throws a more catchable ball, and I think that that's why he's had the success that he's had. And I think that if Florida wins this game, you're not going to win the game by being conservative. Georgia is the best defense in college football. No matter who they played, it's who they've played, right? Those are the points and those are the yards that they've let up. And, the teams that Florida struggled with, they're teams that they blew out of the water. Teams that, traditionally have put up points this season didn't do that against Georgia. So I think that Florida needs to be aggressive. I think that they need to go for the big play every once in a while. Florida's 2 touchdown underdogs, right? You have to go out and try to win this game. You're not just going to win this game by dunking and hoping for a mistake. Outside of quarterback, let's talk about another position. We've been about an hour on quarterback for a rightful discussion.
That's what it comes down to for me, man. We need some heroic quarterback play to win this game.
Who do you guys want to see? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who do you guys want to see rushing the ball?
I want 6 to get the most carries, man. Like the way Naquan's toting that thing. I think all of them are playing well around the goal line. I would like to see that be just use these guys for what they've been good at all fall. So we get goal line carries. I don't mind 6 keep it, but Damian Pierce got a knack for finding the end zone. So, but majority of the carries, let's let 6 get busy.
I guess if I'm saying, next year starts now with Anthony, same thing with Naquan. I think, it's probably done past trying to look for Bowman to get carries. So Naquan 6 and 27, Naquan and Pierce.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, I've wanted more Naquan all season. I just think that he's your most explosive potential home run threat. I totally get why Damian Pierce gets the ball. And I get why Malik Davis gets the ball. I especially get why Damian Pierce gets the ball near the end zone, and that's why he has more touchdowns running the ball than anybody else on our team does combined. But I'll say this. I think that when you're playing a team like Georgia, you need difference makers and you need playmakers, and I think you need somebody that can shake and wiggle their way down the field and not just do the power run. I just don't know if I trust Florida's offensive line against Georgia's defensive line for obvious reasons, and the ability to create those holes and gash up the middle like a Damian Pierce might do. I don't know if that works in this game. So I think you need to get the ball in space. I think that you're going to see a lot of different types of plays. I think you're going to see some end arounds. I think you're going to see some bubble screens. I think you're going to see some short slants. Whatever it is, Florida's going to try to get beyond Georgia's defensive line, which is a big plus in Georgia's column against Florida's offensive line.
I mean, Georgia's entire front seven, they're on defense, they're all going to be playing on Sunday for a while. You got to try to probably, this might be a big game for Dan Mullen, who liked touting, total yards and time of possession in the loss to Kentucky. I think you're going to probably have to try to sustain drives, make Georgia's defense, if you can, make Georgia's defense play 80 plays on Saturday and see if they get tired. They haven't shown a chink in the armor. They haven't shown a weakness yet. That's going to be a huge task for the offensive coaching staff. I will say, and we've said it a bunch, listen, I think Silk said it earlier, this is the kind of game that Dan Mullen will show up for. Dan Mullen has shown the ability that even when they're counted out, I probably had him pegged to lose by 25 last year in the SEC championship game, and he shows up and has a great game plan. This is the kind of game where you would think like, hey, Dan has the wherewithal and the ability to come up with a game plan and keep the game close, which I think probably makes people even more frustrated. Like, is this almost a lose-lose situation for Mullen? Like, if you lose by one or even win the game, is the thought that, well, why didn't you do that against Kentucky? And why didn't you do that against LSU? And if you do that against Kentucky and LSU, are we talking about a whole different, outcome for Florida's season? And then if you lose by a bunch to your rival, people are going to be pissed about that. So
we're going to say how come regardless, man. I think this team is – I think Dan's also scheme, but I think this team is talented out there. We've seen this team – we've seen what this teim can be.
That makes it so frustrating though when you lay eggs.
Right. So they could put it together. I'm just like kind of chiming into what you were saying. They can put it together. We've seen them kind of put together halves at a time.
We haven't seen them play a whole 60 yet.
Right.
I haven't seen
we want to talk about the defense
60 in a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about defense. Obviously, we talked a little bit about it with Anthony from Rivals.com there about Stetson Bennett and JT Daniel, pardon me. Stetson Bennett did play a bit against Florida last year, came in as their second reliever after. Yeah, I think it was their second quarterback, third quarterback. Last game, obviously wasn't prepared as much as he is now. Doing quite well on the season. If you look at the stats, he is doing very well. All things considered, let me just pull it up here. On the season, Stetson Bennett is 57 of 82, almost a 70% completion rating, 1,000 yards, 12.6 yards per attempt, 11 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. So obviously substantially better than last year. JT Daniels is obviously a guy that had preseason hype for the Heisman Trophy. Who do you guys think Georgia goes with? Do they go with the more proven JT Daniels, the guy that was a 5-star coming out of college, or do they go with the hot hand and Stetson Bennett?
What really helped Florida last year is they were able to make Georgia one-dimensional, and Georgia got up early last year, and I think I was thinking, oh, here we go. They were able to stop and stifle Georgia's running attack, and then force, at the time then Stetson Bennett to try to win it with his arm. I think that's got to be the game plan. And it's probably the game plan every week, but that's got to be the game plan against Georgia. If you're going to beat them, you have to get into a situation where you can make them one-dimensional.
We figured out the counter.
I don't know. I'd be running. That'd be the first play. Let's see if they figured it out. First play of the game, counter. Nope, haven't figured it out. Keep it going. Run that back, Turbo. That's got to be the game plan. If you can stop the run, and Todd Grantham was pretty adamant tonight. Speaking of the media, he said that he thought Florida was playing great defense. I think held Bama to their least amount of yards in like 30 games. Held Kentucky the lowest yards lowest yards that they'd had against Florida since he and Dan had been in town. And then obviously just a complete whiff in Baton Rouge, but have been playing to his standards, in his opinion, have been playing great football up until that point. You've got to be able to just make Stetson Bennett beat you with his arm Saturday. If you can get to that, then I can see Florida pulling off an upset. But if you're going to let Georgia run the ball on you, and then Stetson Bennett kind of just pick and choose his spots and find receivers open, you're going to be in for a long afternoon.
I'm going to be watching my defensive tackles a lot this game. If we can get some pressure, and those guys, the veteran guys that we have, and Valentino and the transfer in Newkirk and Gravon, if those guys could get something going in the middle, and we could, like you said, stifle the run game, then all bets are off. But we just haven't shown that we can stop the run game or even tackle. So it's not a whole lot of encouragement when we think about like what we got to do to win this game. It's going to be stop the run, cover the flats, basic football stuff that we haven't been able to do yet this fall, man. So I'm not excited about defense, bro. Hopefully those guys can surprise me. Third and Grantham is still going to be a thing. I'm not going to be comfortable on third downs because just don't feel safe with them guys back there, bro.
Yeah. Right now, Georgia has 3 running backs that they primarily run. I guess 4, pardon me. James Cook, Dalvin Cook's little brother, 6.3 yards per carry.
He's been there like a decade.
So do I. I remember when we were recruiting him eons ago. Kenny McIntosh, 4.4 yards on 38 rushes, 29 rushes, 38 snaps on the season. Zamir White, who I feel like has been there forever too, he has 4.8 yards a carry. And then Kendall Milton, who also feels like he's been there for a while, is averaging 4.9. So these guys are going to get yards. They're going to chunk yards. They have 14 touchdowns on the season. They do have a couple of fumbles, 5 fumbles, a couple of which were by Stetson Bennett. So they are a bit prone to turning over the ball at running back. Kendall Milton and Zamir White are your running backs that each have one each, and then Stetson Bennett and then Carson Beck had one as well. So Georgia does have a lot of chunk plays, 43 yards rushing. 43 rushing yard plays of over 10 yards. So really move the ball well when it comes to their rushing attack. And then you guys can't, dismiss their wide receivers. Brock Bowers, the freshman phenom tight end, 450 yards on the season, averaging almost 18 yards a carry. That to me is something that I wanted to talk about. That to me is a worry because I don't know if Florida has the coverage ability to be able to guard a Brock Bowers and contain the running attack and also worry about some of these other guys that are on the outside.
I know they don't.
I know they don't.
Silk's defeated, man.
No, the defense, I don't like. I just don't foresee like the defense. I hope they surprise me, but I don't think the defense is gonna. I've been watching football a long time. When defenses are playing this bad, they don't just wake up on Saturday and like everything's just fixed. So I don't foresee that happening. Hopefully they could play a game where it's not like LSU and they running the same play on us all game. So hopefully we can figure counters out, get us some stops, and give us opportunity to win this game. But we gotta be able to get stops. We gotta get turnovers as well. Their defense is really good. We've been giving the ball away a bunch. We just not been great in the turnover margin. So we got to flip that. A lot got to happen right for us to win this game. Slow starts can't be one of them. So Dan Mullen with the quarterback situation, we just got to go with who's hot and not play games.
So you're not buying what Todd Grantham is selling, saying that the defense was playing very well prior to LSU?
No, whatsoever.
No, that's just a dumb thing to say, and I don't know why we always have to go back to, well, we were doing fine before we lost. It's like, well, that's not the point. You still lost, right? And even if you look back at that, you played a not very good FAU team, a really bad USF game that got their first win against Temple in God knows how long against
there's been glaring signs.
And then Vanderbilt, which might be one of the worst teams in the FBS, right? So, yes, your stats might have been inflated quite a bit, but you also have to look at the crappy people that you played, and you almost gave up, 16 or 13 points to Vanderbilt in the first half. You just got lucky on 2 missed field goals and a pass that was just slightly overthrown. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
He's getting out of here.
Nick, what do you do about trying to control Brock Bowers?
With which linebacker?
Hey, I don't know. You tell us.
Which one I like? Give me Hop. I'll take Hop. You might get barbecue, but if I got to choose a guy, who you got?
I've seen the Georgia fans on social media trying to compare Brock's season to Kyle Pitts. I think it's totally different against an all SEC schedule versus the teams that Georgia has played. Who has Georgia played? Hold on, I just looked this up. It's laughable. Clemson, which we thought was going to be good, then UAB, South Carolina.
Their defense is legit though. So if he did anything on Clemson's defense, then that's legit stuff.
Kyle Pitts hasn't dropped a pass in like 2 years in the game.
He just dropped one against the Dolphins last weekend.
It's incorrect.
Did he not? I thought that's what the tweet said. Anyway, Brock Bowers.
Tweets be lies too, Nick.
Yeah, if it's on the internet, it's good. He had 6 for 43 against. He had 6 for 43 against Clemson, 3 for 107 versus UAB, 553, 4 for 69, and 2 touchdowns against Vanderbilt. And then last week against Kentucky, balled out 5 for 101, 2 touchdowns. That's a welcome to the league game, kid. I think he's a good player. I don't think Florida has anyone. Maybe Tyron Hopper is probably the best one to put up against him, but I don't even like that matchup. Florida doesn't have a good matchup against him. There's not going to be many teams in the country that do have a good matchup against a guy like him.
And Bernie about to lock that boy down, man.
I don't think that's happening either.
There's always surprises in this game, Nick.
Sure.
Sure. We've got to stay positive. Somewhat up.
Oh no, I'm extra positive. Like I said, man, I think we're gonna pull this thing off. It's gonna take a miracle by my quarterback, man. It's gonna be coming to the party. This is AR's big moment, big stage. Got a chance to upset the #1 team in the country. It's been a weird year of upsets and wild games, man. So I'm here for some shakeup. Dan, get in your bag. Don't give me no shenanigans. Like I know you're listening.
Yeah, I don't know if they listen
Dan
anymore.
Mullen, big Steve McGale podcast listener. Dan Mullen.
They used to listen. The comments and the messages and the texts have died down a little bit over the last couple of weeks.
Oh, for sure.
Dan, if you're listening, hit me up. I got a discount code for you on our merch site. Get a THWG shirt on me, Dan. Yeah,
use promo code SG at manscaped.com, Dan. All right, boys, let's get into the prize pick segment of our show. Everybody's favorite. Visit prizepicks.com. Use promo code SG. Get a dollar for dollar match all the way up to $100. Daily fantasy. You can do really cool bets like I think that Stetson Bennett is going to throw for less than 200 yards and Anthony Richardson, is going to throw for, I don't know.
You keep merging names all fall off.
I know that's all I do. Nilk and Anthony Jones. Anthony Jones. So who knows? however you want to take a look at it, visit PricePicks.com. I'm doing a terrible job of selling this ad. Use promo code SG, get a dollar for dollar match all the way up to $100. Mix college football and NFL, mix tennis and golf, mix watching, streaming, professional video game folks with the WNBA. Who knows? Whatever. Get your rocks off. PricePicks.com, promo code SG. All right, boys. We've got a quarterback controversy that needs to be put on record. Buy or sell. Anthony Richardson starts the game and not just plays the first snap, but starts and is your starting quarterback for the game on Saturday.
He's my starting quarterback now.
Because I'm not going to buy Dan Mullen's dumb answer of, well, the starting quarterbacks who's ever out there for the first play, we might run wishbone, right? Who's your real starting quarterback of that game? Nick? Buy or sell Anthony Richardson's your starting quarterback?
Sell.
Silk, I'm sorry, you bought?
Yeah. Buying AR as a starting quarterback?
Yeah. Sorry. All right, and
sure.
I'll buy that as well, as we've talked about. Okay, buy or sell?
Don't play with me, Daniel.
Buy or sell then?
Other than.
Yeah, the other Daniel. Buy or sell then? So it's on you. Anthony Richardson plays more than 50% of the snaps in the game.
I'm buying it.
Sell.
I will buy that as well.
Nick, you lost your mind on here, fam.
Buy or
I know who your head coach is, so I'm reacting accordingly. If it were me as the head coach, I would have bought both of them. But Dan Mullen's the head coach. He's the smartest man in the room, and he's going to do what he's done all year.
He's the smartest man in his head, that's for sure. All right, buy or sell, which is fine, right? Like you have to be confident in yourself, and he's the one making $7.5 million. I'm not making that.
No, but a part of being smart is also knowing that sometimes you're not the smartest person, like in the room.
He has yet to reach that level of enlightenment, Corey.
Right, that's a separate level of enlightenment.
You gotta go to that reggae fest with Dan.
That'll give you a different kind of enlightenment.
That's right. I put him in touch with a few people. All right, buy or sell. Anthony Richardson is your leading rusher in this game.
Buy.
Big
buy.
There you go.
Sell. I'm going to sell this one. I'm going to go with a running back. I'm going to go with my boy Naquan Wright. With two big long runs, I think Anthony Richardson gets more than 75 yards. Buy or sell, the Gators score the most points against Georgia that they've allowed all season.
Buy. That's 2 touchdowns.
Buy
Georgia's given up 13 twice, and that's the most they've given up. So I'll buy 2 touchdowns for Dan. He'll scheme up at least 2.
Yeah, Dan got to get these people off balance, man. You know, this is a great defense, so you got to give them some smoke and mirrors, make them think they're seeing some things that they ain't seeing, and trick them a little bit. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a fun game, man. I'm excited for it, man. Just hopefully our defense come to get a few stops, so it could be, you know what I'm saying, a showdown for both sides.
Georgia's allowed 13 points twice to South Carolina and Kentucky. I'm going to buy the Florida scores more than 14 points.
Oh, yeah. About to win. What you talking about?
Woo!
I'm trying to think of a way to put this. I'll come back to that. Make a pick. Who's your leading receiver in terms of yards? And then if you also want to do catches in this game for the Florida Gators, or unless you think it's the same person.
Give me Jacob Copeland. I like the chemistry of him and my man AR. So give me Jacob Copeland.
I'll go with Copeland. Trent Whittemore not expected to play. Didn't break his ankle 2 weeks ago, but has a bad sprain. So probably not going to play against Georgia. Not probably. He's not going to play. So I'll go with Copeland. My guy Shorter, who I picked to lead in receiving before the year started, that's not going in my favor. Not looking good for me in that pick. So I'm going to go with Cope.
Yeah, like Shorter's on a milk carton, fam. We got a touchdown last week on the Hail Mary at halftime. Those shots to that, but
Yeah, he had a good game against LSU. I think he was the Gators' leading receiver in that game. He had over 100 yards, I believe. But now I'll go Jacob Copeland just from a chemistry perspective. But if I'm going to go with somebody that might stick out, it might be somebody like a Kamori Gamble or a Keon Zipper that just doesn't, is maybe a check down type of guy, or maybe a guy that gets beyond those front seven. I think that Georgia has good, cornerbacks, good safety. They call a good defensive scheme. It might be a kind of your unsung guy that's just kind of open in the flats or open just beyond, 10, 12 yards. That might be open and get some big chunk plays in that game. And then finally, let's get to our prediction part of the show before we get into some other news. Nick, give us a prediction of the final score of this game.
I think Florida will keep it close. I think Florida will cover. I'm going to go 38-28.
Okay.
Don't forget about it.
I'm going to go 31-28. Good guys, man.
Gators pull out the victory. Silk said this months ago, maybe even last year, that he doesn't come on the show to predict losses. It's his job to be a fan, to show up every week, and to cheer for his team.
I'm gonna do my job, Dan. That's all I'm here to do.
And I love that energy. And if it was any other game this year, in fact, every other game this year, I said that Florida was going to win. They've not done so. They're 4-3 right now. So they've not listened to me. But I'm going to go with Florida loses this game. Close. I'm going to go 28-24. Gators lose. But I do think that the Gators can theoretically or not theoretically, I don't think it would take an act of God for Florida to beat this Georgia team. I think that Georgia's good. I think Georgia is very good. But I don't think that Georgia is this unbeatable force like maybe we've seen with Alabama in the past, where they have these like super prolific offenses and this incredible defense. Georgia's defense is very good. I don't think that they've played a lot of great offenses. I think that Florida is going to be their biggest offensive challenge, that if you rock Georgia back on their heels a little bit, I definitely think that Florida has a chance to put up points, and they have talent to be able to stop good teams, right? Florida did really, really well against Alabama, stopping them in the second half. I mean, obviously they got gashed against LSU, but, this is a team that has shown an ability to make stops when necessary. And, who knows which team is going to show up on Saturday. And I hope it's a team that wants to be out there and play to win.
My goodness, man. I can't believe y'all predicting L's, bro. A lot of Anthony Richardson read action, a lot of play action, bro. It's about it's about to go down. It's about to be a lot of football we haven't seen this fall, bro. Give me Florida, bro. I like us today. I like us. We'll see what happens. Georgia is a very good team, number one team in the country. This is a weird game. It's a rivalry game, but I just think we it's a lot of football teams haven't seen from us. I think Dan has been shoving a lot from Anthony Richardson. I think this is the big game. He wanted to pull out a lot of his tricks and stunts. I think we're just gonna see a lot of football that we haven't been seeing. I like us to pull out some stuff and shock these people. Let's get up by a couple of scores and see what Bennett and these boys can do.
Yeah. I think you'll be at the farmer's market by halftime.
Shout to the farmer's market. No, farmer's market is over by one, so I can't
okay,
be by halftime. Take that.
All right, let's get into some other news. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about a loss of a Florida Gators commitment. Shamar James arrivals of 4-star. The Gators' only true linebacker in this class, one of the top 10 linebackers in the country, did announce his decommitment last week. It is something that has been talked about and expected for a while now. The Gators now find themselves without a Rivals 100 talent. It's unfortunate. And other unfortunate news, as we've talked about on the show about a year ago, I think it was last Christmas time when we talked about it, but the Gators, hit Dan Mullen, or the NCAA, pardon me, hit Dan Mullen with a show cause penalty, which doesn't allow him to recruit this fall. That was brought up today in a press conference as well. So, there might be some questions. Hey, where's Dan? Why isn't he out doing this? Why isn't he out doing that? Why are these coaches out and Dan Mullen sitting at home? I promise you he's not on vacation because he wants to be, but he's on vacation because he has to be. So, Nick, tell us a little bit more about that show cause and what left does Florida have to do with that penalty that they got from 2019 recruit?
Yeah, that was recruiting Saviel Smalls, who was a linebacker, I think, in the Washington area.
Savell.
This is it. So Dan can't go out and recruiting. Florida should have everything wrapped up by the end of December. He was supposed to be serving that penalty last year, but obviously with COVID and coaches not being able to recruit on the road, the NCAA didn't just be like, hey, well, that's your year. You can't go out anyway, and that counts. So they pushed it back to this year, so he'd actually have to serve out the penalty. No telling if Dan enjoys it, because it means he doesn't have to go and recruit, or if it's actually bothering him. But it's not going to hurt. It's not going to help Florida. Not having the head coach being able to go out and sit in the living room. It's certainly not going to help Florida, land recruits. I don't know if it would have changed anything with James, but it's something Florida's having to deal with. And listen, it's tough.
This decommit is more of Shamar kind of could read between the lines of Todd Grantham's fire.
Well, here's something with me too. So I was talking to somebody at Florida, and Shamar's game got changed from Friday to Thursday last week because there was a shooting at Lad Peebles Stadium the week before. So they moved the game to a different venue, and it had to move it up a week or move it up a day from Friday to Thursday. And Florida was I was talking to somebody at Florida, and he was like, somebody asked if we were going to go see Shamar, and they were like, no, the game got moved, so we're not going to go. And then I was like, well, Kirby and Nick are going to see him. And they're like, oh, so we should go? And I'm like, ship sailed, brother. Like, he's already decommitting. They're like, he's not decommitting. And I was like, I shouldn't be telling you about what's happening in recruiting. It's not even my job to cover recruiting. Yeah. I shouldn't know more about you guys and what's going on in recruiting. So I think that, to me, was kind of eye-opening to, because I'm not really plugged in with recruiting, but that to me was eye-opening that, like, I shouldn't know more about what's going on with one of your commits than you do.
And that speaks to the chemistry in the building more than anything, because that would just be regular conversation that you're having about where recruits at on a daily basis. So that's got to speak to the overall work environment and chemistry in that building. I don't have any like sources or anything, inside secrets, no shit like that. But that's just regular conversations about the top guy on your board, knowing who's after him. I think everything regarding that guy should be top priority in the recruiting room.
How are you not planning to go see that guy on a bye week?
Right.
Your top recruit, the number one guy you have left on the board. How are you not?
Because his defensive coordinator is going, and you're gonna have to replace him regardless. So they're kind of just folding up their tents a little bit on his recruitment.
All right.
Because they go to that game, right? Like, let's say they did go to this game, right? And he didn't decommit. It's on the horizon. Like, we all know he's heading to Georgia or Bama. Like, he's not going to come here. We don't even know who our defensive coordinator is about to be.
But while we talk about that decommit, Julian Humphrey just decommitted.
Of course.
Live on the timeline.
There's no defensive commit that you should feel good about right now. Like, we don't have a defensive coordinator. We got a lame duck DC.
Sheesh.
Wow. That's
good times.
Yeah, that was Florida's fastest commit.
Positive podcast.
And he was the only one that was about as close to the Rivals 100 as Shamar James was, right? So that's
you got a lame duck DC, man. That's just what it is. Your defensive board is going to be all thrown off the rest of the season. This is why you make this move last year. It's like, because you just delaying the inevitable, right? Like, eventually you're gonna have to cross that road. Now we at that road. We got to get a new DC, get a whole new room, and then whatever recruits we have right now, they're gonna be looking to both and find secure situations. Because recruiting right now, like anybody that's saying commit to the school, players shouldn't be committing to coaches. That's like not reality.
Right. That's not
It's just not, man. Like these kids are making $1 million decisions on and who they play for matters. What coach that coaches them matters. And a lot of other things matter. So it's a big NIL world. So it's just so many factors in recruiting of just commit to a school and a degree. It's just not that world anymore. And when you start firing coaches, like same thing with a head coach. Like people, the crazy people out there, like, oh, fire Dan Mullen, bro. You fire him, like Anthony Richardson don't have to stay here. Like go to wherever you want to go. Like it's free agency. So he don't have to sit here and see who's the new head coach and if I like his offense. He could just field himself, let the rest of the world recruit him, whoever may want him, and then make a decision. So it's just a different world, man. Everything got to be approached differently now.
Yeah. And it looks like Julian Humphrey is the odds-on favorite for Julian Humphrey is Georgia. Jules Montaner was just in Texas just a couple of days ago to visit Julian Humphrey. So something has obviously changed, obviously over time, but, Florida felt worthwhile to fly out there 3 days ago just to see him. So, again, signing day is a couple of months away. Well, not a couple, it's about 6 weeks away. But that was a Rivals 100 guy that Florida had. And now that he wasn't just a great corner, he was also a guy with elite speed. And you need speed on your team. And yeah, that sucks. I didn't want to talk about more bad news because I feel like that's what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, but it's reality. Florida is in a tough position, and there's other commitments that could potentially be on decommit watch, especially as we get closer. And it looks like Todd Grantham, may not be here, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can't say you want him fired and then also get upset when those that want to play for him or those that commit to him leave, right? That's just a casualty.
That's a hard fact there.
Yeah, that's a casualty of the situation, right? I mean, you have to look beyond that, and you're going to lose good players. There's players that have connections to coaches for scheme, and it might be a different scheme than you think that Florida should run. But at the end of the day, Florida loses their two top-rated commits in just a couple of days. So hard reality for Florida Gators recruiting right now.
It is what it is.
Well,
I need a new DC. I mean, this is part of the business, bro. I'm not like the kids doing what they got to do. Business decisions got to be made. This is part of the process, man. You gotta, what I'm saying. Sometimes you gotta share weight to,
Yep.
You gotta stay down before you come up.
Yep. You got to trim down before you bulk back up. Speaking of trimming down and bulking back up,
man.
So bring us to the Manscaped ad.
I've seen bigger decommits.
Oh yes.
You break my heart, fam.
Yeah. See. Speaking of seeing bigger things, so get us to our Manscaped ad read and
that's
take
that's a wild statement right there. Yeah, that was wild.
That's what they call on TV a segue.
For sure. Clean as a whistle, ready to take off like a missile. Shout out to the great folks at Manscaped, man. Keeping me groomed and clean in these fall months. Ball deodorant, lawnmower 4.0. The best of the best in grooming. Be sure to use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. I'm waiting on my new package to take care of my package, Dan. Where's that?
I just got the information. Nick's shipped late last week, and ours shipped today.
Nice.
Mine got shipped first. Address for you. Yeah, yours shipped first, Nick. You should be getting it any moment now.
Respect.
They know you all Harry Larry fan.
Don't worry about me.
Then they got the analytics about the usage of our lawnmower 4.0. People are like, this guy Nick doesn't use this shit.
It's got Wi-Fi enabled usage tracking. Yeah, no, I don't know about all that, but maybe in the lawnmower 5.0. But they got new body wash coming out, all sorts of new stuff. So check out manscaped.com, promo code SG.
My brother-in-law was about to grab something out of Target. Like, we was in Target together. I seen him put something in the bag. Like, bro, get that out of your buggy, fam.
Yeah.
I say you 20% off. I had no idea Manscaped was in Target.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until about a year or so ago. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to buy at Target when you can get 20% off. I don't think you can plug promo code SG in at the Target checkout.
No, not the checkout. No, that's right.
No. But all right, boys. Silk, it is your song of the week. Take us out, my friend.
Oh man, I wasn't prepared. You think it's a new thing on the show, right?
New segment.
What am I listening to? Go to what I'm listening to these days.
All right. Well, Silk does that. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to us, Stadium and Gale, on YouTube. Thank you so much for all the listens last week. Last week was one of our most listened to shows in a long time. So thank you for sharing that and retweeting it, posting on the message boards, all that kind of fun stuff. Remember our sponsors, Brunt Insurance, Home Field Apparel, Game Time Sidekicks, Prize Picks, and Manscaped. All the promo codes are out there. If you have any questions, want to know any user stories about Nick's experience with any of those products, let us know. Silk will be more than happy to share with that as well. It's on the ticker on our live stream that you can find on YouTube. So again, check us out on all of those places. Silk, take us home, baby.
All right, man. See you boys next week, same corner, same time. I got a nice little jingle from Coffee. It's called Toast. Nice little jingle. Let that sizzle in your spirit.
Coffee Toast?
Her name is Coffee. The song is Toast.
Coffee Toast.
Very good.
Yeah, for sure. Breakfast.
Maybe a little brunch.
A little English breakfast. All right, boys. Same corner, same time next week.
Already.
Already.